Hello everyone. The title of today's talk is Seeking the Unknown Through Familiarity. When man looks around, he is either observing, based on his consideration, a creation intelligence or a creator intelligence. If we were to consider the intelligence of the creator being a dynamic state, what that means is a state of consciousness that when you're in it, you're not just limited to your individual ideas. You're no longer in an individually conscious reality. In other words, it's not like you're in the room, the whole room is aware of you in it. When that experience finds a man, it is never man that is finding himself. We in our life have the great example of fruit in front of us. And so if we were to wonder about fruitful action, we would see that there is a layer, there is a surface to the treasure, because the depth of man is more than how he has been conditioned to see the world. When one is seeking the unknown, you begin with what is familiar to you. You go to people you trust. Your wonder takes you and begins questioning your immediate sources of information. And not in a sense that you're getting a conspiracy theorist attitude where you're trying to see something that's not there. It's rather by letting go and by simply seeing the natural state of one's being, and then based on that working towards realization. What that means is we're not trying to get realization. We are trying to realize our real eyes. So it is something that is present now. What that means is if someone has dared spoken the word enlightenment and nirvana around you, it is because there was a need for that moment to be communicated in that way. To be honest, after some point of observing manifestation, you tap into instances where you're confronting your whole spectrum. How would I say it? It's like in one moment, you're capturing all moments of your life. You know, it's as if you have the DVD. Or the internet link for it, I don't know. But it's very important to kind of notice here that when man is seeking the unknown, he is shaking his reality and in a sense trying to realign it. When you want to direct up anything in this reality, there are many ways you can do it. Mainly how people are trying to control, and let us think of Napoleon, who was a man who could control not the world around him, but also that which his moment asked of him. So you kind of see there's a manner of controlling individually where your individuation is just trying to have a better game, trying to get a more better, greater experience, you know. But there's also that aspect where your individuality goes into one realm of how you acknowledge yourself, and this is like very personal. This is intimately how you are there with yourself at the end of every night. And as you're observant of this sense, you begin to see that your knowledge, what that means is the act of knowing is beyond the actor. The only reason realization can be spoken about is because there is a transition and there is space for that transition. There is an allowance, there's a realization, and as the world turns, we begin to see the earth was not the only one turning. Therefore, path of certainty, where is the certainty? And in that atmosphere, I began to see the certainty is always in how much your intention is there. What that means is you're as certain as much as you really see something here. So if you don't have glasses and you're trying to see if that's a star or something else, you know, you really need to wear your glasses. You need to adjust and recognize some people don't need glasses, some people do, you know. Some people are born in a certain manner and some people are born in a different manner. And it is not the game of comparison, you know. Be inspired by humanity's games, but also realize that in an instant, if there's something more serious happening, you can walk away from it. What that means is mankind has built culture and history, and so we have societies, you know, we're social beings. And as we're social beings, we also realize this social system is based on communication, and communication is based on ideology, and ideology comes from memes and, you know, just basic archetypal imagery. And if you begin to observe what words really mean for you, some aspects of your reality will become meaningless. When we are self-aware and we are present in a location, that location transitions. So the minute you observe something anew, there is a collection of your past observance of a failure in addition with a new way of seeing it. Possibility expands your reality when you trust that possibility. What that means is I might not see a great world, you know, I might go out there and see someone punch someone in the face, you know, but within me I notice that there must be a possibility, because if there is no possibility, there is no engagement in a system. And when we look at cultural systems, this possibility is just there in how communication is kept. Human beings in their social systems will become aware that there is more than the sense of you, there's more than the ego, and that ideas are relevant to how the being moves in the reality and how aware the being is of a sense of self. Because a sense of self does not need to hold certain imagery, because in a dynamic state it is moving much faster. What that means is if I was to walk slow in the park, I would see much more than if I was just to run in the park, you know, just like run fast, quickly, you know. And that's simply because the focus of attention, the nature of attention, and the whole system is working on a different intention. So when you sit down in nature and try to wonder what your states of being are, you begin becoming aware of what is the phenomena of thought, and how thought is a consideration based on an intention that can be active, and action must be done in space. So it's as if like because we're separate beings, we can move around a lot. But if I was the experience of the mountain rather than a little stone, you would see it would be much different experience, you know. And on some level, man is a mountain for the cells in his veins, which act as streams. But you see the streams of consciousness move beyond a need to be kept in projection. So you know how mankind's mind has been used to measurement? We've been measuring things. You will begin to see that you will get a simultaneous ability to have multiple measurements there. Because once evolution meant the self-awareness and in a sense the brain function of the being was changing to some degree, that which is keeping you here is already where it needs to be. The idea of you, which is constantly changing based on how you're deciding what to do and how aware you are of your breathing, is the distinction. What that means is it's terrible to be at home, you know, and then forget that you're home. And then you go around and you go see, oh my God, this picture, it reminds me of someone, you know, and you say, oh gosh, it's you. And similarly, mankind, his consciousness is the originator of the plane, for experience is not limited to its measurement, for measurement is observed through the limitless. What that means is even science, which is choosing to have a certain range of limitation, is being given itself limitless space to measure. Do you know? Limitless space to judge. Yo, man. Bro, Now, we must recognize the human intelligence. What Mr. Within has noticed is that the human being is using a sense of story to navigate in this life. This sense of story means this physicality in how it communicates. It remembers its communication, and as it remembers, it is creating a world based on interaction and how others come into that moment. So think of that child who's growing up and then meeting more people and then getting into more life situations and constantly growing, you know. So similarly, it's this movement, it's this progression where the unknown is at the edge of your knowing, where you begin to see, you thought you were individuated, but now you are the next step for man to not step on another planet, but to step on the same planet anew. To take a step beyond a need for fabrication to satisfy our solutions and truths. On some level, we have to acknowledge externality, but we also need to create space for learning. And that space comes from acknowledging that we're not just beings in a certain dimension, we're multidimensional beings in regards to how our communication shows us that we are within a sense of divine attention and intelligence. It's in you. You have known it. And it's very interesting, guys, because at certain states of consciousness, your memories do not come individually, or you don't have to think about what you did. It's not, at least what I've noticed, it's just flows and streams of information that is coming. So if you become a selfless traveler in this world, you begin to see, you are aware of any potential of self. Any form comes, and you are in such a compassionate view, seeing it as a projection of your world and also a projection of yourself. There is a simultaneity in peace and realization that it will free you by seeing it's not that the individual had to go to the collective, or the collective had to come to the individual. It just had it. You had to recognize that whatever projection was happening now and cause and effect was in an instant. Then the progression becomes a smooth transition beyond frameworks of obstruction. Seeking the unknown through familiarity is an existential reunion, for through self-remembrance, man was always home. Much blessings and namaste.